Wonderful. Catherine?
If you check out the SBA website, sba.gov, there are all kinds of fact sheets and how-to and checklists, and there's definitely one on contracting and leasing and lease to own and all that, so check them out. We've had them for a long time. You see them in printed version, but now they're all on the internet. And I would also suggest that SCORE probably has experts in that field as well. Jim?
The first thing that you do when you negotiate a lease is be prepared. Hopefully, you've come to the table with some negotiating skills. And if you haven't had any training in negotiating, you're at a disadvantage to the landlord who's been doing this for years. Okay? So it's like anything else. If you're not familiar with it, get help. You say, I don't have a lot of money. Okay. This is one of the places, like with the CPA or any other expert, money spent is well spent if you don't have the skills to negotiate a good contract. Get legal or other assistance, even if you have to pay for it. Because remember, you're going to be paying for this for 3 to 5 and other years on a month-to-month basis. This is really important to you. So get the training, be prepared, and if you have to, spend the money on professional help.
I want to add one quick comment to that, piggybacking on this idea of being prepared, not just in understanding how to negotiate, but everybody here, Michigan residents, I assume, you have access to a wide variety of resources through the MEDC, well, Governor Snyder paid for the Michigan Electronic Library to provide a number of different free databases. So if you have a Michigan library card, you can get online, at home, at the library, wherever. You can get help using these databases from the business librarian at the Detroit Public Library also. But you can go there first and do a little bit of research to not just be prepared in how to negotiate, but understand what your cost structure is going to look like. One of the biggest mistakes people make is jumping ahead to finding a space and signing a lease before they understand how much they're charging for their product or how much it's going to cost them to produce this product or to open their door. So you really have to understand what your costs are going to look like before you know what you can even afford in the lease negotiation. I've had people come to me and say, I'm ready to sign a lease, do you think this is too much money? But they couldn't even tell me what they were charging yet for their product or what their cost for producing their product was going to be, then you're not ready to talk about property at that point. So using those database resources through the library and even getting some help from the business librarian to put some of those cost projections together first before you even go start talking about where the space is. The other thing is understanding if the space is even right for your market, and those resources can help you with that too, is where are my customers? Do they need to drive to me if I go to this space? Do they need to walk to me? Is there enough walkable traffic there? Is that where I'm gonna, is that space even meet my needs or be where my customers are, where my market is? So those kinds of things in terms of preparation, way before you even start talking about money, I think are critical.
I'm going to take one more comment from you, and I'm going to head over to Wendy to talk about research. And we're going to go into talking after that. While that's on your mind, I want you to think about creating databases, getting the resource to create databases, okay? So let's close that question out with your comment.
Just real quickly, something else to think about on the front end when you've gone through all the steps, your numbers. Make sure that you check out the actual space to make sure taxes have been paid by the property owner, zoning, and all other different issues, because there are other businesses who go and you pay your rent, and then you come in and it's closed because either the property has been seized for non-payment of taxes, or there may be some other defects. So make sure that you're okay with asking questions about, roofs, the electrical system and the whole nine, because you'll make your investment as far as your business in that space, and it may not be adequate or suited to, on the landlord's part, to have paid their debts or anything they need, and you don't want to face that. So do a lot of front-end work as well on that.
Of course.
So kind of going off of what Bonnie said, there's that statewide information, and we're working with an organization called MCR, Michigan Community Resources, to kind of bring that research to a really local level. So in all of our neighborhoods, with all of our community partners, we're going to be doing research on what kind of market is there, what kind of money is there, where that money is going, what people are spending money on in those like very specific neighborhoods that I mentioned before. And we're also going to be doing work with our community partners to kind of identify what commercial corridors they want to focus on and the condition of the buildings, who owns them. And so we're doing that research this year, and we're going to make that information available via workshop. So watch out for those workshops if you're trying to locate your business in any of our neighborhoods.
Thank you so much. Thank you all so much. I want to get to this question because we talked about research. We haven't talked about that. We want to talk about research, and this question comes in: what is the best way to create a customer base with Groupon, advertising, and I think a lot of it is research. And your program is you have a lot of research there. So for a person who wants to know how to create a database, what kind of resources and opportunities would you share with them?
Sure. So as I mentioned before, one of our key services is market research and providing secondary market research. And so there are two components to the question. The first is, how do I do research as a small business owner? How do I know if someone is going to buy my products for good? So one of the things that we provide is an opportunity to find out, first of all, who your competitors are, what the industry says, is your industry growing, is it trending down? And so what we do is we have access to paid-for databases that have already, the charges have already been paid, so you don't have to worry about these expensive databases, and we can pull that information for you so that when you go to the lender, you can support your claim that there are people out there who want to purchase your goods and services. And so there are a number of different ways when you're looking to market your business. There's a number of different social media avenues that you can choose to get the word out. So part of our consulting involves the strategy behind how do I get to my customers? Is social media the best way for me to get to my customers? So part of what we do is to think about strategies that are going to help us. And there's a lot of different choices these days, internet being one of the largest, to get to our customer. But that said, do we know what our industry says about that particular medium as an effective way to reach our customers? And so what we want to do is sit down with you and say, for your particular industry, we want to find out, is this the best way to reach your customers? And we want to find out information about our customers. And a lot of times that people will come and say, well, everybody's going to buy my goods and services. And so I challenge the clients to say, well, maybe not everyone's going to buy it. We want to be able to determine who is the person most likely to buy our goods and services. And some of that has to do with fact finding. We need to figure out some intel about that customer, why they're buying, when they're buying, what motivates them to buy. And so a lot of that has to do with that secondary market research. And we also encourage clients to do their own primary research. Primary research takes a little bit longer, but you also need to be engaged in the process. And so what we do with that secondary market research is supplement that initial research. You've already done some research. You've decided that you want to go into a particular business because you think you can make money. And so part of our charge is to confirm that, to make sure there are people out there who want to buy your goods and services. And so again, we work very closely with you to be able to answer those questions. And market research really is a key way to do that.
Wonderful, wonderful. I hope that question got answered, Giovanni.
I just want to add something real quick. So when Wendy's talking about that, so
That was
also in terms of building your database and understanding who your customers are and collecting that information once you've started to reach them, definitely keep track of that. And all those early customers, those early adopters, if you start baking things out of your kitchen and you're selling them at the local farmer's market, keep track of how many you made, how many you sold, what the price was, and whenever possible, do a little survey to those people that are buying and start collecting that information too. Who are they? Why did they buy? How old are they? Where did they buy it from? If you are doing like, I met a woman who was creating a DIY, like a art project, and she was selling them on consignment in a local store, and she couldn't keep them in the store. She was selling them rapidly, and she was ready to decide, maybe I want to open my own store now, but she hadn't kept any of that data about how many she'd sold on consignment and what the price was that people were paying or who those people were. So it's a very good idea right from the beginning to track all that information on your early adopters, your first customers.
Wonderful. Listen, we have a great panel, and we're going to close it out. So I want you all to just give a hand for our panel. Now, before we close out, we have our last question. And so if you can just give us, just a small business owner, a key piece of advice, what we can use, a takeaway, just that one takeaway that you can elaborate on in a small moment and tell us what we can take away to really grow our business. I'm going to start with you, and I'm going to pass it on down.
Start with me.
Yes.
I would just say start by getting into that ecosystem, identifying who those organizations are that are providing resources, and tell your story, and ask for help.
Thank you.
Out there.
And I would say that, first of all, planning in terms of understanding if you're ready to go into business, to making sure that you understand your industry. I always tell people, if you want to open up a restaurant, understand what it means to be a cook, a buyer. Understand the different areas of that industry. So understanding, embracing your industry, and then collecting and forming key team members to be able to support your initiatives.
Regina.
I think the customer discovery page is the most important part. If you don't have customers, then you're not going to have a business. So make sure you do your due diligence on that, and as you get into the ecosystem, realize that any person is a potential customer. Specifically us, if we're aware of your business, we'll look to connect you to different opportunities. But finally, be open to investing the time. You're going to have to put the time in. You will have to put some capital in at some point. As Jim mentioned, there are some things you're going to have to pay for.
All right. Jordan.
I think flexibility, so being able to respond to the changes of your business and to things that you discovered through research and training. So really being able to be flexible with your business idea or your business. And then asking for what it is that you need, because there's tons of resources that you can see. So if you know what you need, go out and find it, because there's people that are there to help you.
Catherine.
Preparation, do your homework, and bottom line, know your numbers.
Wonderful. Jim.
And I'll follow that with a commercial on Wednesday. Stores in charge of presenting the financial portion of this week's program. If you're in business more than a couple of years, knowing your financials, knowing how to talk to your customers, your vendors, and the people within your company about financials, knowing how to do analysis is very important to the financial health of your company.
Thank you so very much. Thank you all. I appreciate it from Dental Marketing. We feel very honored to be a part of this. Thank you all. I'm going to bring up Ms. Robin, and she's going to give us some instructions from here. Let's give everybody a hand. It was wonderful, wasn't it?
Now let's give our panel and Ms. Nana another round of applause. And our panelists can you can still be in the room, because I'm sure there's still more questions. And I also want to note that this week will culminate with a closing reception Thursday evening at the Wayne State Law School. If you are interested in attending the closing reception, you are encouraged to email me, which is rkinney, RKINNIE. That's Thursday the 13th from 4 to 6 p.m. One thing that you will notice, and hopefully you'll be joining us for the rest of the week, is that we're going to be promoting a lot of our own clients. For example, this morning we're promoting our 2 Small Business Detroit microloan clients. Cafe Con Leche is providing the coffee this morning, and Sweet Potato Sensations provided some treats. We have some, what do they call them? The little sweet potato mini bites. And then my personal favorite, the sweet potato muffins. So if you haven't tried the sweet potato muffins, I encourage you to do so. But throughout this week, all of us will be promoting some of our clients that we've worked with over the years. Next, I'm going to bring up Marcus Harris. He is one of the planning committee members, and we've worked together for numerous years. He's currently an operations officer at Arise Detroit. He's adjunct instructor at Wayne County Community College District, as well as the managing director at Urban Strategy LLC. And Marcus will be transitioning us to our keynote presentation this morning. Marcus Harris.